Hello my lovelies. So I was out at Waychinicup over the weekend. I only ended up staying the Saturday night. I headed out there. It was pretty well raining the entire time, which was okay. What was really exciting is I've said in previous videos, it was the first time I've actually painted plein air. And I came home with all these photo references, and they're so uninspiring. Once you've painted out in the elements, regardless of the fact that it was windy and it was rainy and all the rest of it, the things that you see and the freedom that you have over, I don't know, twisting and warping the composition and things like that, there's some kind of magic in actually being out and amongst it. The other big thing that was really cool was hanging out with a heap of other artists. I've returned home feeling really, really inspired. It's pretty cool seeing, the same place and seeing so many different artists respond to it in different ways and come up with so many different things. A lot were doing the same thing that I was sort of doing, and just going out there and not trying to take home any gallery specific pieces. If there's a few that you do put in the show, so be it, but going out, responding to the environment, and then going back to the studio and getting our 6 works out for the show in March next year. The other thing I've done when I got home, I have completely sort of rejigged the studio. I've turned the bed at the other end of the room up on its side, turned that into a bit of a drying rack. I've still behind me got to change this around a bit of building involved, but I've actually got a big week of actual off the property work this week, so we'll have a few dollars coming in, so I might be able to afford the couple of $100 worth of building materials that I need to do that. But at the moment I've got a specific computer editing drawing area behind where I am right now. I've got 1, 2, 3 easels where I can have 3 paintings on the go at once, which for oil painting is quite important. And also for the way that I work, I like to be doing lots of different things at once. My mind's in lots of different places at once. The idea of working on a single painting for 12 hours a day for weeks on end doesn't appeal to me at the moment, but it may do in the future. Never say never. I'll show you a couple of the paintings that I did. So this was the first one. I was actually sitting in my tent for this one. It was blowing a gale, it was raining, and I turned my tent into a studio. So that's the view out of my tent. Down, there's a little peak of the inlet down the bottom. It was quite an interesting palette. I was in shade, so you can kind of tell the darkness of where I was sitting, but that was good fun. That is the second one. That is just up from where my tent was, and I really quite liked looking through the canopy and down at the inlet, and I tried to keep it as simple as possible. Lots of magentas and greens. I used to hate green. I used to find it really obnoxious, and now I'm really quite enamored with it. So there you go. I think this one here that I'm about to show you, this is the majesty of plein air painting. So I'd done these first 2, were in and out of the weather. I thought that I was sort of done for the day. I did another one that was quite abstract and weird that I'm not going to use. A lot of the other painters were done. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I saw this little goat track off to the side, and it basically, I followed it down for 20 meters, and there's this beautiful view of one of the hills across a sort of sweeping valley, uninhibited, and there was a rock. I was like, I'm going to go and sit on that rock. So I raced back, I grabbed a blank palette, I squeezed some Indian yellow, some raw umber, and some white onto the palette. I took a single brush. I didn't even take a rag or any thinners or anything, and just sat on the ground with my board, and that was that one. And I think, there's some sort of magic in, the painting took me 10 minutes, but there's just something about this one, and a lot of the artists there sort of felt the same. There's a rawness and an energy. It's just whatever it was about this view sort of grabbed me, and I had to paint it, and that was really quite special. I took photos of it and all the rest of it. I thought, oh, maybe I'll do a studio grab of this same painting, but the photos don't do it justice. And yeah, it was actually just the moment that sort of inspired it, and I really quite like the palette as well. The greys against the yellows, and then the muted greens. Yeah, it's quite special. Yeah, and the one last thing is I came home, I'm working on another portrait. Wax layers, and the thing with wax that's good fun is the addition and then the removal of layers, which I really quite enjoy. So effectively what I'm doing is I'm building up layers, and then I'm going in just with thinners once it sets up a little bit, so it's got to dry a little bit. You go in with thinners and you can let it drip and you can let it do sorts of things, and then you can scrape it off. Yeah, so it's a real reductive technique and style of painting. It's also, yeah, it sets up quite quickly, so you can do a layer a day effectively. And by having the extra easel space, I can just have this painting sitting here and I can get stuck into it every day if I so desire. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Still a few tweaks around the studio. I'm feeling very, very, very inspired by having hung out with all these other artists. I think it's so important for artists to get to hang out with other artists, because so often this is where we are, in our studios, in our heads. Yeah, but to get to hang out with other artists, you sort of realise that there's a whole bunch of other weirdos out there in the world that see things and understand things a little bit differently, and to come together and respond to the same place is, yeah, it was really quite special. It's one for the memory banks. Anyway, too rude. I'll see you tomorrow.